First of all, thanks everyone for joining us, and we want to thank all Minnesotans for stepping up. It will be their heroic efforts, not any bill passed by politicians, that gets our state through this crisis. We especially want to thank healthcare workers and first responders, our law enforcement, our educators, and those that are keeping our grocery stores stocked. We certainly, over the last 3 weeks, have been busy preparing upcoming legislation and passing legislation to help with the response. We'll be back in session likely on the 14th, possibly sooner, to pass some additional legislation to help Minnesotans. And we know that Minnesotans are struggling, and we're doing our part to respond at the state level. We certainly know and hear Minnesotans' frustrations that folks are frustrated with the governor's executive orders and the impacts that they're having on people's livelihood and businesses. We are urging Governor Walz to use common sense and compassion. Priority must be on protecting health and safety of Minnesotans, and we should let people like lawn care workers go about their business if they can do it safely. We appreciate the steps that Governor Walz has taken, and we'd like him to grant flexibility to those who can work safely. He's done that just this week for dock workers and also for deputy registers. We appreciate that flexibility. Looking long-term at the budget, we obviously have concerns about our revenue not coming in as expected. We must be conscious of the long-term consequences on this with our budget. Our forecast very obviously was a projected forecast, and certainly we should assume that because of COVID-19 that we likely will not only not have a budget surplus, but we will very likely have a pretty significant deficit. Unlike Washington, D.C., we must balance our budget, and every dollar we spend now on COVID-19 response is a dollar we need to cut if we have a budget deficit next year. Tax increases will only slow the recovery once the pandemic has passed, so we'd strongly urge Democrats not to propose tax increases. But right now, just as many families and businesses are, government needs to make the tough decisions and tighten our belts during this time as well. So with that, I can take some questions if folks have them.
Folks, if you have questions, you can go ahead and unmute yourself next to your name on the right side. You can also enter a chat in the chat bar and use that as well.
We've got one question that says, what would be your reaction if Governor Walz extends the stay-at-home order? Certainly, I think Minnesotans are doing a good job of staying at home and keeping themselves and others safe. I think folks generally understand the importance of doing that. You know, certainly we want, I think, all to get back to normal as quickly as possible, but we you know, we'll rely on our governor and the information that he has to make the best decision that he has. Again, we'd ask for some leniency and flexibility in allowing segments of our workforce to get back to work if they can do so safely. And I think Minnesotans generally understand that there may be a new reality when they get back to the workplace, that we may have to, for a short time, continue our social distancing and maintain some distance and interacting with our fellow employees in different ways. So our hope is that that happens quickly, but we certainly want to encourage the governor to have some flexibility in allowing some additional folks to go back to work now if they can do so safely. Another question from Peter Callahan. What did you think of the tone the governor took? You know, certainly his comments are that it was not a traditional speech. I think that's right. I think the governor really is trying to, you know, from a perspective of being the leader of the state, trying to inspire Minnesotans and let them know that we will get through this. And I would agree with him that we certainly want to present a united front. Republicans join Democrats in wanting to not only fight and defeat COVID-19, but also make sure that Minnesotans are back to normal as quickly as it is possible while still remaining safe. So, and we hope that our economic recovery can be swift as well. So I think the governor took the right tone, and certainly that's what I expected from him. And we certainly have enjoyed working with him through this. While we would rather be at the Capitol, like everybody else would rather be at work and doing our work there, many of us are working from home and doing what we can to provide the resources the governor needs to help fight this pandemic. So, I think he took the right tone, and certainly we'll watch just like everyone else as we move forward. Are there other questions? I'm not hearing questions over the audio if folks are asking, but I can see them on the screen if you're typing them.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And Tori, go ahead.
Oh. There's another question coming.
You're unmuted, Tori, if you just want to go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I was just trying to type it. I was just going to ask later, Daudt, what issues do you think will be ripe for a vote, ready for agreement within the next 9 days or so if you return April 14th or before then? Where do you see the most progress?
Well, I think so. Right away, I think we're very close to agreement on the work comp issue that would basically change the presumption that if folks who are first responders did come down with COVID-19, that we would assume that they got that while they were at work, and we would treat them as such. So that's one that I think will move quickly. The way that it's operating right now is that all 4 leaders agree to issues that go onto a list. Once we create that list, we each assign 1 member from our caucus to negotiate on behalf of our caucus the issues that are on that list. And then hopefully we can get to agreement, and all 4 caucuses need to sign off right now in order for those bills to make it to the House and Senate floors for votes. And so far, we've got a pretty extensive list right now that we're working on. I think that issue will probably be the first one. We also have some issues on the list about helping Minnesota businesses as they work through this time as well. We're hoping that those things can move quickly as well. So I think, I don't know that we'll be back before the 14th, but there's a chance if we get agreement on the work comp issue that we could be back before the 14th. So certainly would watch for that. Are there any other questions? Courtney Godfrey just asked that I said I would like to see some professions get back to work. Can I expand on who I think should go back? I would encourage the governor to really look at any sort of industry where folks can work either remotely or can work and still respect the distancing, the social distancing guidelines. The one that comes to mind, and I got an email from some friends of mine who are older and they can't take care of their yard work and mow their lawn. And they certainly were asking, and they wrote an email to the governor earlier today about allowing lawn care workers to get back. I know that golf courses could certainly be open and provide an opportunity for folks to get out and get a little recreation. If we can't allow them to open, we at least need to allow them to maintain the golf course. They have a huge investment in these golf courses, and if you do not maintain them, it can really do damage to the golf course. So especially at a time like this in the spring when you're opening it up. So anything like that where there's a need for work to get done and we can do that work safely, I would certainly encourage the governor to allow those folks to get back to work. Are there any other questions for me?
All right, folks, if that's all the questions, we'll wrap this up.